So I'm gonna go ahead and talk a little bit about Grant Stefan and how I'm gonna relate this to Pokemon, especially if you're in the Pokemon investment kind of side of the hobby. So one of the big content creators that I've watched when it comes to finances, one of them has always been Caleb Hammer. And for the most part, a lot of you guys disagree with his antics or what he's trying to teach. And like honestly, he's not really trying to teach anything. He's just there for the drama now. Ever since he did that episode with Amaranth, right? I believe that's the girl's name. You could see that his business model completely switched, and it was all about creating drama in his episodes. I've always watched Dave Ramsey because Dave Ramsey is the one that's kind of hammered like finance responsibility on me. So he's kind of like the OG. And the last person that I kind of like watched a lot during my college years, which we're talking about pre 2020, was Grant Stefan. He also made an episode where he was interviewing Gary, Poke King Gary, on his other show, the Coffee Hour podcast. And if you guys have ever watched that episode, or if you guys do, he's in there asking him questions, asking Gary questions. And one of the things is that I realized about Grant Stefan is that he sees now cards, collectibles, as an alternate form of investment. He's talked to multiple people who have great finances, right? And a lot of these people also put a lot of money in Pokemon cards or collectibles. So whenever he was having this conversation with Gary, he was asking him a lot of questions about what should we be collecting now, what's going to be growing up in the future. But the one thing that he kept doing is asking, who should we grade? Should it still be with PSA? Should we grade it with Beckett or CGC? And Gary gave his honest opinion. He says like, no, PSA basically has lost their mind. He wouldn't grade with CGC. He understands Beckett, because of the black label. But if one of the main companies that he will be grading in the future that he should really consider is Tag, especially because of the whole transparency thing. And we talked about it, and that's what we advocate, right? But Grant Stefan is like, when should I be grading with PSA? It's always PSA, because he's new into the hobby. He's new into the collecting side of Pokemon and the money side of Pokemon. And this is where we see that most new collectors, yourself most likely, go with PSA due to the liquidity and looking for the resale value. But right now, it seems like a lot of people are selling because things have slowed down. People are on vacation. We have officially hit a summer slowdown, and it's a beautiful time, ladies and gentlemen. This is one of those times where you should really be looking to go ahead and grade, and not grade, sorry. We do not grade right now, do not grade, but where you should be sourcing great cards in the futures. You should be sourcing cards that you want to collect. A lot of people are selling off their collections. You can go ahead and sell, and whatever you sell, go ahead and put that money, my recommendation, put it in a high yield savings account. Build an emergency fund, but at the very least, a high yield savings account where it's going to give you a 3.5 or a 3.5% return on your investments in a high yield savings account. Like, you're putting it safe, you're creating your emergency fund, you're creating all this stuff, but you're going to get a little bit of interest. It's not going to be exciting, but it's a start if you're trying to be financially responsible and then you already use Pokemon as your side hobby. And here's an example. So let's say that you sold $3,000 worth of Pokemon stuff. So you're gonna put $3,000 in a high yield savings account, and at a 3.5 or at a 0.035% interest rate return. In a year, I believe it's somewhere around $120 something. Divide that by 12, it averages out to like $8.75. Like $8 every single month for the rest of your life is not exciting. But if you're still looking to collect Pokemon cards, I think this is a great time, or it'll be a cheap way to go ahead and collect Pokemon cards on the cheap. Now, I understand a lot of people don't like to collect cheap Pokemon cards, but some collectors like collecting things that are completely underpriced, and one of those things that I think that are completely underpriced still at this moment are going to be Cosmo Holo cards. from the Mega Evolutions to the Scarlet and Violet era and beforehand. Cosmo Holo cards are extremely underrated, and most cards that you can go to a card shop or convention will probably go for somewhere around 25, 20 to 50 cents, and they can hit double digits, like $10 to $15 if they have the A stamp, like the game, like the GameStop stamps, or depending on those. But like let's not forget about the Gengar, the GameStop Gengar that goes for over $100. So Cosmo Holo Swirls cards are fantastic, cheap way to invest. And look, that's kind of what I've been picking up. So we're gonna go ahead and talk about some of my pickups for the month of June and early July. Let me go ahead and start this video, and a little hydration break. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the pickups that I've been able to pick up in the month, and kind of using this strategy. I'm not really spending a lot of money into the hobby right now. I think it's a fantastic time to source cards. For me, Cosmo Holo cards are great cards to source for the cheap. And whenever tag grading becomes available for a value grading or bulk grading, that's where I'm really going to start sending these cards. Because at 20 cents, and like let's say they do $15 grading whenever everything kind of slows down, you can probably sell a card for like around $20, $30, $35 a Cosmo Holo graded card, even if that's a 9, and that's not being a 10. Because you guys have to remember, Cosmo Holo cards are extremely hard to get back as a 10. But once you do, you're looking at insane markups, insane margins. A 20 cents card, you can go ahead and sell it for like around $150 to $200, depending on the Pokemon. It's a wide average, but it can be done. I've been doing it. I've sold the 8, 10 evolutions, 9s, all the way up to 10s, between $25 to $45 to even $150 for those Cosmo Holo 10s. They move at $150. But if you are here, one of those things that maybe you might want to consider for your tag slabs is going to be a sweet 3-point, like a 35-point case, magnetic case. They just look amazing for these slabs. Like, I know they can probably do also for PSA, but we gotta rock our Oricorio. It's one of those cards that I'm probably going to be sending a lot to tag once they open up the value / bulk rating. But look, they look amazing, they fit amazing. I'm probably going to add something back here. I believe that Tag Show, one of the subscribers, mentioned about these cases, and I finally bought one. He bought some from Temu. I'm probably going to do the same thing. This is from Amazon, but these are amazing. Like, I love these. Like, this is ahí estoy macizo because of that shit. Me tiene duro. But let's go ahead into the main topic, right? Cosmo Holo Swirls. And why could be a good time to you guys. This could be a good time for you guys to go ahead and find sweet cards out there for pennies and dimes. And, a fan favorite Pokemons. Look, here's 2 tips that I'm going to give you guys for content creation. If you guys are doing content creations, or if you guys are thinking about it, so being like, holy shit, I can do a way better job than Hayes just Dan. If you have a fan on and it's pretty loud, you put background music so that way it overrides the fan hitting the mic. That's tip number 1. Tip number 2, if you're ever going to show off cards and your hands are dirty because maybe you're a blue collar worker, or maybe you haven't trimmed your nails, or you have dirt, wear gloves. Black gloves are aesthetic, or make them tight. It's a hack, right? I'm just saying. What is it? And you guys already know that I'm a mailman. So have I been having a hard day at work because of Amazon Prime? Yeah, F you guys. You guys are fucking dicks, right? Maybe. Or maybe I haven't trimmed my fucking nails. You guys don't know. I'm wearing fucking gloves, right? But let's go ahead and talk about some of the Cosmo Holo cards that you guys can go ahead and find right now. Now, I got this card from one of my coworkers because I was cleaning his route, and he went ahead and gave me a Flygon. Now, the Flygon is probably from, believe like Mega Evolution, and it looks beautiful. Now, Flygon, underrated Pokemon, and the card just looks amazing. Now, I already know that this card is probably not gonna attend, but I've been asking for a mega evolution for a Flygon or a regional variant, meaning that Flygon a lot of people have. So Flygon is a fairly popular Pokemon, and it's one of those cards that you guys should probably jump on. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I made a video that whenever I graded some of the cards, and like how you guys saw, I just pressed on the card down, the tag scan went ahead and picked that indentation, it hit me against it. So that's how I already know I already fucked up this card, but that's okay. It was a payment. It's a good looking card. That is not a Cosmo Holo. You're looking like a jackass. Oh, here we go. So Tyranitar's from Paldea Evolution. You guys can probably go ahead and find these cards for like around 150, 160 depending on the shops. So sweet cards, fan favorite Pokemon. They're Cosmo Holos. Great pickups. You guys can also get like Abra and Kadabra, and we just need Alakazam, and we can have the whole evolution in a Cosmo Holo area. And are these big plays? No, but we understand that the Abra, Kadabra, and Alakazam evolution line is one of the more fan favorite evolution lines out there, especially with Gen 1ers, right? The nemesis of Gengar. So it has a fan base. So if you guys ever see the Abras and Kadabras, understand that there is some Cosmo Holo cards on these, so you should go pick those up. We got Slakoth, and Vigoroth, both in Cosmo Holo Swirl, so all we need is Slowking, and not Slowking. What am I saying, bro? What's his name? The guy with Truant ability. I messed up his name. Anyways, going back to this, fantastic looking cards. You can go ahead and pick them up. And I'm sorry, the plastic and the angle doesn't do it justice, but if you guys could see the cards the way that I saw them, you would understand what's the point of Cosmo Holos. They just look amazing. Oh, from Ascended Heroes, you can go ahead and pick up Tipig. Damn, I've been collecting a bunch of Tipigs, but honestly, Tipig, it's a good Pokemon. I honestly enjoyed Tipig as a starter. Even his evolution line, which I know if like a lot of people don't like him, I do. One of my favorite Pokemons, water types, are going to be Totodile from also Ascended Heroes. And you guys can pick the Cosmo Holo Swirl variants of these. You guys can also get Suicunes, great looking cards. Chikoritas, Leafeon, Glaceon, Scraggy. Now, honestly, this Scraggy card does an amazing job for Cosmo Holos. Usually, look, best way I can explain it, we're gonna keep Scraggy card out. And Chikorita. Sometimes whenever they're doing these swirls or these Cosmo, the pattern doesn't come out fantastic just because of the background. Dark background, like for Scraggy, does a really good job coming with the Cosmo Holo Swirl, where you can actually like the Cosmo Holo pattern where you can see it great. And the Chikorita, just because it has vibrant colors on the background, it kind of hides and limits the effect of the Cosmo Holo foil pattern. So sometimes you don't get to see it, but it's good to see whenever you have a dark card like Scraggy with a dark background really pulling this job, because trust me, it's not easy. Another example to kind of even go harder with that dark background is gonna be Sneasel. This Sneasel compared to the Scraggy, I can easily see the Cosmo Holo. Oh, plus this one has a swirl right here. I can see the Cosmo Holo pattern way cleaner on this card than I can with Sneasel. Still, great looking card, great looking holo foil. But, going back into the showcase, Noctowls. I've been picking Noctowls from Temporal Forces. Oh my god, this is probably up there on my top 5 cards of all time. It is a beautiful card. I want to get these cards graded and give them as gifts. A Yanma, great looking card, great pattern on this. A Rakuda, this one, from Sword and Shield era. This one's super beat up, but I was able to buy it super cheap. Fluttermane, with the Pikachu Halloween stamp from the Trick or Treat. Underrated. The Cosmo Holo pattern on this is just amazing. And then some other cards that I picked up for the cheap, Houndoom, Crobat, Fennekin, Thundurus, Mega Diancie, and Iron Moth. Great looking card. Look, kind of tying up all the video. When people are jumping into the hobby, it might be a great time to exit out and make your gains. You guys should be comfortable with exiting out and coming out with some money. Now, whatever you guys do with that money is completely up to you. If you feel like you're gonna be into the hobby and you're kind of a little bit like me, where you're like, oh, this investment part of it is stupid, but I can go ahead and use it to maximize my gains. Look, you can put your money in a high yield savings account, and with that interest, keep putting into the hobby and just recycle. That would probably be the best way of free money when it comes to Pokemon, where whenever you're buying, you can exit it out. You can go ahead and buy cards cash, and then later on down the road, you're probably gonna have to sell them online, so that way you have the documentation and you guys can pay your taxes. Because here's the thing, like if you're gonna be putting money into a high yield savings account and you're seeing like $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000 like deposits into your accounts, cash accounts, eventually down the road, if we're not lying, it's gonna raise the suspicions with the government, if you will, especially whenever you start talking about these people who've been collecting Pokemon for a super long time. But you might have to sell on eBay, eat up that fee, but at least you'll have the documentation, aka like cleaning your money and putting in a high yield savings account, and then just keep doing it. It's part of it. But kind of like I told one of my friends before who was trying to get into Pokemon investment, one of the things that I told him is like, bro, if you really want to make a lot of money in this hobby, you should not be going for one single item at a big price. And like yes, it can experience the most growth, but it's going to have the most volatility, and whenever it crashes, if it crashes, it's going to hurt, right? But it's one singular item. Let's say that you're going to use that money to buy a shitload. We're talking about hundreds and hundreds of the same card, to go up on price. And this is where you're starting to see a lot of people kind of buying out $1 cards, $2 cards, and having 100 copies of it, because all you really need is for that card to go up in value from $1 to $2 to maybe $5 or $7. And it's not super outrageous, because that's basically what has happened to every single Scarlet and Violet card now. Going into the Mega Evolution, every single $1 to $2 cards has doubled or tripled in value, where $5, $6 is not a crazy price, not anymore. So buying $1 cards going all the way up to like $6, that's where you can start making a shitload of money, because you're not gambling on just one big item. You're gambling on hundreds of small little items, and you're winning by volume, not by just one and getting lucky. You're winning by value. And one of those areas where I completely think is completely underrated right now is gonna be Cosmo Holo cards. Every single YouTube content creator who talks about collecting Pokemon cards, Cosmo cards are one of those cards that you see that has been graded like crazy because of the margins upside potential, and two, because they're great looking cards. For the cheap, you can buy hundreds of the same cards. You can buy out. You can do market manipulation if you really wanted to with $100 and going to TCG Player and just buying out 100 copies of the same card. I'm just saying, you can probably experience a lot of growth targeting those cards and beating most of the hobby when everyone still has their head up their ass looking at illustration rares and art rares. But if you're gonna sell, maybe put it in a high yield savings account, play with the interest, buy cheap cards, and just wait. If you're a true collector, you know, you have your biggest asset is going to be time. And if you don't see Pokemon ever crashing, you can put your money behind a $20 to $30 card, you know, your money behind a 20-30 cent card, and let it grow. You got time, right? And sell them at $5, you know, that's significant. That's a lot of money. Outside from that, let me know what you guys think. If I'm completely ran off topic, if I didn't make any sense, let me know. And if you guys kind of understood the direction of the video, also let me know. Outside from that, I do hope that you guys are having a fantastic day, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.